Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tracing an absolute extraordinary investigation. It's one that began not in, a precinct office or a lab, but right there at a hospital bedside.
Yeah, it's quite the story. Our sources detail this relentless journey of Jim Steele. He was a former automotive sales manager.
Right, not a cop, not a PI initially.
Not at all. And he basically had to become a private investigator just to solve the murder of his own mother, Carol Steele.
It's incredible. So our mission today is really to trace how what looked like a routine family tragedy just exploded.
Exploded is the right word. It turned into this massive case involving, well, deep family betrayal, systemic hospital cover-ups, and honestly, a terrifying web of local criminality. What's fascinating here, I think, is understanding the sheer force it took for an ordinary citizen, essentially, to transform into a licensed investigator. Jim Steele had to navigate a system that seems almost designed to shut down inconvenient truths.
And it all started with just a few words.
His entire effort was driven by 3 haunting words written by his mother, Carol, after cancer had stolen her ability to speak.
And that note, just scrawled on a yellow legal pad she used to communicate.
Yeah.
It simply read, "Don't trust Brida."
Chillin'.
Brida being Jim's sister-in-law. That must have been a terrifying jolt.
Absolutely.
I mean, Carol had been diagnosed with throat cancer, she had the IMRT treatments, and her latest scans were actually clean.
She was supposed to be recovering. On the mend.
Exactly. So that note immediately shifts the whole story, doesn't it?
Okay.
From tragic grief to something much colder, like calculated malice.
It was the necessary wake-up call, really. Though Jim understandably fought it at first. He'd spent, 34 years in automotive sales management?
A long time.
Yeah. And that world, it teaches you things. How to spot hidden agendas, how to read body language, like when a forced smile doesn't quite reach the eyes.
Yeah, the instincts that...
Yeah, the intuition, definitely. But applying it to his own family, to Brida, that was a huge step he initially resisted.
I can only imagine how difficult that would be. But the red flags, they started waving pretty early, didn't they? The source material mentions this really disturbing comment from Brida, at a family gathering even.
Yeah, that one stood out. She was talking about Carol saying something like, "I just don't want her to suffer."
Which sounds concerned on the surface.
But Jim noted the tone. He said it sounded almost like it had already been decided.
Wow, that phrase, it speaks to a really unsettling level of, premeditation.
Exactly. And that deep unease was only intensified by the, let's call it, dysfunction Jim witnessed inside the hospital itself. He essentially had to become a constant watchdog for his mother.
Like that incident with the blood pressure medication.
Right. The doctors were trying to lower Carol's high blood pressure for a procedure. Pretty standard stuff. But Jim, just using basic common sense, noticed the morning nurses were still giving her the regular medication, the one designed to raise her typically low blood pressure.
So they were completely counteracting the new meds.
Completely working against each other. It's baffling.
That kind of internal communication failure, it's scary. But I guess it shows why patients really need advocates,
Desperately. And the medical issues just kept piling up. Carol still had that tracheotomy tube in 3 months after getting those clean scans.
3 months. Why?
Well, Jim started wondering, didn't he? He suspected the ENT staff might be deliberately keeping that tube in for billable visits.
Ugh. Adding unnecessary risk, unnecessary pain. Potentially for money.
That was his suspicion. And all this chaos, all these questions, they kind of build the context for the day she actually died.
Okay.
Carol died after a 3rd carotid artery rupture. A fatal one this time.
And Jim wasn't there when it happened?
No, he'd left around 1 a.m. The rupture occurred almost 9 hours later, around 9:30 in the morning. And crucially, the sources say the assigned nurse was missing.
Missing.
Gone. Nowhere to be found. And the call button apparently went unanswered in those critical moments right before the rupture.
Okay, hold on. If the nurse was missing and the call button was ignored, that sounds like clear negligence. Why wasn't the hospital immediately liable? Why did Jim need to push beyond just, say, a civil suit?
That's the absolute key point, isn't it? Negligence, well, that means a payout. A settlement, maybe?
Yeah.
But murder, that means a criminal conviction. It means proving intent.
Oh, okay. Big difference.
Huge. And when Jim started asking questions after her death, looking for real answers, the hospital and the ENT group, they just slammed the door shut, put up this immediate, impenetrable bureaucratic wall.
Citing high pay, I assume.
You got it. High pay, demanding proper authorization for every little thing. He realized very quickly that his intuition, even the obvious facts, they were useless against that kind of institutional power.
You needed leverage.
He needed real leverage. So that's the moment. That's where the automotive sales manager made a definitive pivot.
Right. Away from grief towards investigation.
He knew he needed procedural leverage. So he used his connection, specifically mentioned is a Mark Tyson from the sheriff's department, to get his licensed private investigator card.
So the PI license wasn't just a title change.
Not at all. That laminated card, it was the key he needed to demand accountability, to force access to those protected medical records.
And this wasn't entirely new territory for him in terms of dealing with powerful people covering things up.
No, interestingly, his background material shows he'd previously uncovered a massive fraud scheme at a Nissan dealership of all places.
Really?
Yeah, the owner, a Charles Morgan, was apparently using triple financing. Jim saw a business worth maybe $6 million being used to leverage $18 million in illegal loans.
Wow. That's big.
It is. And Jim saw how that kind of financial corruption was being actively shielded by local political interests. He learned firsthand how political protection works.
So he knew what he might be up against. Armed with his new PI badge and it sounds like a pretty healthy dose of aggression, he went straight for the top.
He did. Secured a meeting with the hospital group's president and CEO, Mr. Graves. Jim's description is memorable. He said Graves possessed the dark death stare of a true narcissist.
Okay, so less like a polite inquiry, more like a high-stakes confrontation.
Yeah.
Was that really necessary, that aggressive approach?
Oh, I think absolutely. Graves was banking on his institutional authority, right? Relying on the system. Jim needed to shatter that composure immediately. And he had the tool to do it.
The audio evidence.
Exactly. He played a recording he had of a responding nurse, Nurse Albright, admitting flat out that Carol's assigned nurse was nowhere to be found.
And that worked.
According to the sources, Graves, faced with recorded proof of clear negligence, he finally cracked. His composure broke.
Okay, so the door is ajar now.
Yeah.
Jim pivots to confirming the how, the method. He spoke with another nurse, Marisol Vega.
Yes, and Nurse Vega confirmed that Carol's blood pressure on admission was dangerously high. We're talking 229 over 142.
Which suggested?
It suggested a massive dose of a powerful drug had been administered.
The sources mention a vasopressor, like phenylephrine or norepinephrine, administered through the feeding tube. Okay, for those of us not up on our pharmaceuticals, what exactly does a drug like that do in this context? Why would that be the weapon?
Well, it's a type of drug that's highly controlled and for very good reason. A vasopressor causes violent, rapid constriction of blood vessels. It basically skyrockets blood pressure.
Skyrockets it, yeah.
So for someone like Carol, who'd recently had surgery, possibly had a compromised artery already, giving a large dose, especially covertly through a feeding tube,
would force a rupture.
Precisely. It would force that artery to blow. And critically, it makes the death look like a tragic but natural medical complication.
So the artery didn't just rush her on its own. It was pushed.
It was forced to rupture, yeah.
That forensic detail is just chilling. And it points directly towards Brida needing help, right? An accomplice inside the hospital.
It does. It led Jim straight to an ICU nurse named Erin Wolfe.
And the connection?
Erin Wolfe happened to be Brida's cousin.
Ah, there it is.
And then came the hospital supply logs. They showed Erin withdrawing 4 vials of phenylephrine at 2:43 in the morning, 3 nights before Carol's death.
Okay, that's specific. How is it logged?
Suspiciously. Logged as restocking crash cart inventory.
Which sounds plausible, maybe?
Except the timing, the quantity, the fact that it was her withdrawing it, it screamed cover-up, especially in hindsight.
So, okay, we have the method, the phenylephrine. We have the means, the accomplice, Erin. Let's talk motive again. We know Brida apparently hated Carol.
Yeah.
Felt judged by her, the whole dark soul comment from Carol.
Yeah.
That's personal. But the sources clearly show there was serious financial motivation too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It seems like it was this toxic mix. Calculated revenge and financial gain all wrapped up together. Carol was the matriarch, the one Brida maybe felt she couldn't control or manipulate, the obstacle.
So how does she plan to monetize that hatred?
That's where the insurance policies come in. Brida started taking out life insurance policies on Carol. Not one big one, but 8 separate, fairly modest policies.
8. Over what period?
Over about 6 months. And interestingly, she started this pattern 6 years before Carol's death, right after Carol had bypass surgery.
Wow. 6 years prior. That shows planning.
Deep planning. The total payout was over $100,000. Each policy was small enough, maybe, to fly under the radar, avoid suspicion, But taken together, they establish this clear, premeditated pattern. It looks like she was betting on Perel's